My name is Margaret May Connor. I love swimming. I have a lot of experience. I grew up in a lake, and I absolutely love the feel of the water. I swam competitively growing up, and Title IX and all that. And fortunately, about 15 years ago, somebody asked me if I'd be interested in coaching open water, and I do. I absolutely love it. And what I noticed is that a lot of people have a fear of the water. So when they see the dark water, it makes them nervous. How many of you here feel that way? Okay. How many of you are fairly comfortable and have done a lot of triathlons? Okay. All right, so we have a pretty good combination here. So my goal is to have you love swimming as much as I do, okay? And I don't mean that simplistically. I really, really love the water. The planet is 2/3 water. It's a good thing. And with the increase in the sport of open water swimming, which last Olympics was first time it was an Olympic event, and then triathlons, you know, thankfully a lot of people are getting in the water, but it's like they're fighting it. So they're very, very nervous about. So when I look at the water, this is what I see. The next one. Yeah. Stand here. Okay. So when I see that, to me, I look at that when I approach an ocean, the lake, the river, and to me, that is so beautiful. It is so absolutely stunningly beautiful. It's all natural. It's not to be feared. The movie Jaws scared a lot of people. Okay, that big jaw, I remember when that movie came out and I was living on the lake and it took me like 8 months to get back into the water. And so, and they have Shark Week and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of like done a lot of disservice for open water swimming, and I understand that. Everybody's got a fear. So my goal is to have you, when you're in your swimming portion of your triathlon, because I'm a swimmer, okay? I coach swimming, I love swimming, I'm not a triathlete. So when people come to me, my goal is to have them look at the water like I do. And it sounds very, very simple, but it is doable. It really is doable. So what we have to look at is what is going through your brain? What is having you think that that is a dangerous entity? Okay, could be the movie Jaws. It could be that it's, you know, you have no control over it. So the fear is the first thing that we deal with. So pool versus open water. So when you're going to the open water, coming from a pool, Doc Councilman, who was Mark Spitz's coach and Gary Hall's coach, he was around a long time ago, and he realized that everybody's bumping into each other. Okay, so these guys are swimming, they're at the Olympic level, but they're all bumping into each other. So he invented the lane line. And we're really grateful for that. So everybody that's swimming swims crooked. We all do. We're prone to swim crooked. So he invented the lane line, and then he invented the line at the bottom of the pool. Okay, so you can follow the line at the bottom of the pool. Great idea. And you know, I'm going to date myself, but I remember when that happened. So it's like, wow, man, these are like little bumper pads. So we're swimming along. We have the black line. So, and you also have the walls. So when you're training, you have the wall, which is a natural break. So whether you're swimming in a 25-yard pool, or if you're swimming in a 50-meter pool, the Olympic pools are 50 meters in distance. So a lot of times if you're swimming outside, you have the 50-meter pool, so you have one less wall. So all of us, when we go from the 25-yard pool from indoors to the 50-meter pool, everybody, I don't care what level you are, we're going, where is the wall? Like, oh my God. It takes a while to get used to that. So here I am, you know, I'm training in the winter, which all of you, or many of you may hopefully have been doing. So you're swimming in the winter and you're starting to feel comfortable in the open water. I mean, with swimming. You're getting some endurance up, but you're getting ready to contemplate, hopefully this time of year, of swimming in the open water. So how are you going to translate your pool swimming into the open water? This may create some sort of, one thing that is helpful, okay, so when you're getting ready to go swim in the open water, is you're going to want to have proper equipment. Okay? Okay. So I swim competitively. I still swim with the Masters group. I swim indoors, and I also swim in the ocean races. I did the Brooklyn Bridge swim. I'm going to do the Statue of Liberty swim this year. And I also had the honor of being involved in triathlons, okay, so as a hired coach on hand. And I absolutely love it. And I realized, for example, in the Luray Tries, I'm always on hand at the beginning of the swim because we'll get paddle boards out, but most people, when they're starting to swim to the 25-yard mark, a lot of people start panicking. And one of the reasons is their goggles are messed up, okay? So they're like, oh my gosh, my goggles.
Speak very close.
Okay, how's this? Is this better? This is good. Okay, wasn't time for that. Okay, so if I'm getting ready to go swim in the open water, and I may have fear, all right? So with my goggles, these are optical goggles. So for example, I lost my glasses. These are great for distance, okay? But I always have a fresh pair of race day goggles. Now I will wear these maybe 1 or 2 times before I have my swim, but they're a fresh pair because a lot of people will spend thousands of dollars on a bike and they're going to spend a lot of money on their running shoes, but the basic swimming equipment, because a lot of people will just go, well, it's just a 750 swim, I'm not going to really worry about it. They will not come quite prepared with their equipment. So just getting a race day pair of goggles, you can go to a local swim shop, and my suggestion is Google a local swim shop and go in and try on the goggles. Ask if you can try it on. Okay? Now the reason that I'm talking about this stuff is it's going to make a difference in your open water swim. It really, really makes a difference. You can try on the goggles, wear them a couple times, make sure that they have a tight seal. So it's like when you're snorkeling, you just, a tight seal, pop it out. Have the person work with you just like you do with your bike and just like you do with your run. Have them work with you to make sure that your goggles fit. Same thing with your wetsuit. Okay, do most of you wear a wetsuit? Okay, so you know how that is. You just want to make sure that you wear it maybe once or twice before your swim. Okay, so we're going back. Okay, so I'm getting ready for the race day. The swim cap, do most of you swim with the swim cap? Okay, so during the race, they will give you a race day cap. Okay, so but I would suggest that if you choose not to, if you don't want to, if you normally don't swim with a cap on, then go ahead and practice it before, try it on while you're swimming at your swim practice. I'm sorry, I'm a little disconnected here. Okay, so you'll want to go to your race. You'll have your race day cap. You'll have your fresh race day pair of goggles. Get a clear or tinted pair. I did an open water swim in New Jersey this past summer, and the race started at 8:30. So when I was getting ready it was about 8:10, and it was overcast. So I thought, okay, I'm going to wear my clear pair of goggles, which looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to wear my clear pair. Then at 8:20, the sun came out. So that would have been a blinding glare when I was swimming. So I got it's like a mirrored goggles. So I just switched them out of my bag and I was ready to go. And they do work. They'll help block out the sun so that you won't have that glaring sun when you're coming coming around the corner, maybe facing the sun. Okay. Fair. Okay. Fear. So fear is what we were talking about, and that has been the biggest thing that I've noticed is that people are nervous when they go for their open water swim. And again, this really, really makes me, you can go ahead and go to the next one, Sumi. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, so one of the reasons that you may have some fear about your swimming portion, if you haven't had a chance to practice in the open water before your race, I would suggest doing that. A lot of times it's hard to find a place to do that, okay? So you can Google, see, I take people out one-on-one or in groups. There are areas, swims around here. I know that if you Google it, there are more and more places and coaches and teams that are beginning to take groups out, okay? So when you're, with the training that you're doing in the pool and you go into the open water, if you can, please try to practice that. okay, because it's a big difference. It's beautiful, but I've coached up to Olympic trial level. It usually takes maybe 2 to 3 times to get acclimated from swimming into the pool to the open water. And then once you do that, it's really, really quite fun. Okay, so here I'm getting ready. I've got my goggles, I've got my wetsuit, and we'll talk more about the practice. And I'm getting ready to start the race. Okay, so I'm approaching it. And again, I've had the honor of being a part of triathlons, but I'm also a swimmer, okay? So if you go online and you Google, Michael Phelps Olympic swim or any of the swim races, what you'll notice is that when they go up to the starting block, okay, so swimmers will approach, and each person approaches the starting block, and you will hear the starter say, "Quiet for the start, please." Okay, and that's the last thing you'll hear. Is quiet for the start, please. Okay? And then it's ready, set, go. So as a swimmer, you are one with the water. Everything else is blocked out. As soon as you hear the starter shoot the gun or whatever, then then the noise erupts. Okay, well, it's a little bit different in triathlons. Okay, have you all experienced that? Yeah. Okay, so I was pretty shocked. And again, I love open water swimming, I love triathlons, but as a swimming coach and a swimmer, I was shocked when I went to my first race to help out, and I saw a lot of people very nervous, and 200 of your nearest and dearest friends that you've never met before, and you're getting ready to start your wave, and there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stimulation. In my experience is most people, when they do a triathlon, they aren't swimmers. So they think, well, I just need to get through the swim. And therefore, that's the thrive. I just need to survive the swim. How many of you all feel that way? Yeah, there we go, okay? So I just want to survive it. I'm like, oh no, that's the most fun. I just love it. And they're looking at me, I don't think so. So you have the start where you're nervous. You're not quite as comfortable in going into the water. You've got the fear of the dark water. You may not have the proper equipment. And you have all these people saying this is going to be really, really awesome. Okay, you're going to love this. So my suggestion is when I'm taking people out, and I'm going to do it with each of you, is I draw a box around you guys. So you're just in Maymay's box, okay? And each of you are in your box, because otherwise you're scattered because there's so much stimulation. I know you all are athletes, so you can really do that if you're in a wave. I was in a wave of 400 people. I went into my box, okay? So I have to get refocused on where I am in this wave, how it is I want to position myself, and that most importantly, I'm swimming my race. I'm not going to be swimming your race, because I can just in a nanosecond get out of my box. So I start getting very, very centered, even with all of the noise going on, okay? So when you're practicing, please try to do that. So visualize that there may be 200 people around you. Visualize that you're very, very nervous, and get into your zone, get into your box. It really helps a lot. The wave position. A lot of people who are nervous or new or not really quite sure about where they should be in their wave. Okay, in the middle of the wave, that's where, so you've got on either side, the middle of the wave, that's where a lot of the people like to get going, we call that the washing machine. They want to be in the middle of the wave because they want the best angle to get to the buoy. I generally will start on the side, because for me, I need to have a gradual warm-up. Okay, so when I did the Nations Tri-Swim, for example, I positioned myself on the far right. I was swimming at an angle to the buoy, but I wasn't in the middle of all that washing machine. And therefore, I could get my warm-up, I could get stretched out, and I could focus on that buoy without worrying about all the people where I am. Some people, if you're a little bit nervous, you can start on the side, you can start in the back. The most important thing to remember is that this is your race. So that will help you. When you're in your box, when you're starting your race, you go, okay, I got my equipment, there's a lot of noise here. I don't have to be in that noise. I can visualize doing a swimmer start. And that's what I do. And I just practice it. Get my heart rate down and say, okay, here I am in my wave position. This is what I'd like to do. And then it's ready, set, slow. There's a lot of talk about, okay, when your wave starts, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And everybody they'll go. The elites can do that. That's fine. They're trained to do that. Most people, if you've got a 750 swim and you sprint that first 25 to 50, you're going to poop out. It's a lot, and it should be a lot, because when you start your bike and when you start your run, you don't start out at a sprint if you know you've got an 18-mile bike ride. Am I correct? Yeah, so you just kind of say, so literally it's ready, set, slow. Now the ego and the nerves will want to go, okay, I'm going to go, and I know I can do it, I know I can do it. And then you'll cramp up, you'll get tired, start getting in your head a little bit. Please pace your start. That's the most important thing. When I do clinics with swimmers, with my own, out in a lake, in a pool, that is the most important thing we work on, is that racing start. I want to make sure that you can float. I want to make sure that you can tread water. And we work on that first 25 to 50 yard start, because that can determine a lot of times mentally where you're going to be for the rest of that swim. And so you're not going to like your swim because you're all tired, because everybody's telling you to go and, you know, have a great time. And you're pooped. Yes?
Thoughts on when people like to invade your making box? You know, the people who are swimming over your box.
Right. Okay.
Into your box. People who never taught how to swim all over your box, etc. What's the end?
Okay. I will share a little bit, and then I'd like to have you share a little bit. For me, and when I'm in Maymay's box, and thanks, Pam, when I'm in Maymay's box, when I did my swim, for example, in New Jersey, I had rounded the second buoy. I had 4. And I was like, this is a great swim. I am rocking it. And I'm visualizing my finish. And I had done a third of my race. I wasn't even close to finishing. And I went, got to get right back in my box. So that helps me to stay focused. It helps, and we'll get to the other people in the race in a little bit. But you want to, so that I can stay in my race, stay in my box the whole way through. So I'm swimming along. And when I went to my finish, I was in my box. And it didn't end up the way I thought it was going to end up. You know, I'm rolling in the ocean with another guy. We kept bumping into each other. So my glorious, you know, finish that I had visualized didn't quite turn out that way. But it was fun. We really had a good time. Did you want to add something, Pam?
The people who like to invade your box.
Yeah, and we will get to that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, so here we are. We're going to be pacing your race. Okay? So my experience is I've heard a lot of tri coaches that suggest or maybe insist that you should breathe every third stroke. That is called bilateral breathing, and that's a good thing to know how to do. I mean, it's really good for sighting, it's good for seeing where people are, but personally, I like to breathe. So if I'm starting out, you know, I really like that oxygen. So when I'm at the beginning of my race, for me, I hold my breath. You know, I'm trying to, that's where I hold my stress. If I'm driving in the traffic, that's where I hold my stress. Breathing is really a good thing, okay? So at the beginning of the race and throughout the race, you have my permission, and it's really okay, and we work with this, to breathe every stroke. And by that I mean, Now, Michael Phelps' coach, Bob Bowman, is having him swim breathing every stroke. He will alternate sides, but he said, number one, for the stroke technique, he's elongating more, but also it's getting the oxygen to his body. So I did the Bay Bridge swim 4.4, and I breathed on one side, and I breathed every stroke. It helps with my heart rate. It helps get that oxygen flow, and it helps to calm me down. So breathing is okay, and breathing every stroke is fine. If you want to alternate, you can certainly do that, but you do not have to only bilateral breathe. More and more of the elite swimmers are breathing on one side. They're breathing every stroke. So that's just the first 100 and 200 is the most difficult. That's what I was mentioning earlier. You're going to want to make sure that that's part of your warm-up. Okay, so again, that's just usually what I'll do is from the start to the first buoy is my warm-up. So a really nice stretch out. And then you have to remember that you're going to be swimming maybe a 750, okay, or maybe a 1.5. You're going to want as much energy going out as you are coming in. So that's the important part of pacing your race. That is hopefully where your indoor training is helping. If you all are doing interval training, the 50s and the 100s and the 200s, you'll just start pacing that race, get your warm-up in, so you can start feeling your stroke and you can start pacing your race. This is all an important part of helping with your fear of it, because you say, okay, I'm having a good, nice warm-up start. I'm going to be stretching out. I don't have to sprint. I don't have to go all out. I am in my box. I have my goggles, and I'm focused on that buoy, and that's a good thing. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So here you've got 200 of your nearest and dearest friends, and you're like, okay, this is what Dr. Peak was questioning about earlier. What on earth do I do? When I did the Nations Try swim, how many of you all have done that, the Nations Try? Okay, so there you are with about 9,000 people, okay? And it's like, and I've coached a lot of people as they're getting ready to do their first triathlon. And they're like, what am I gonna do with all those people? I'm like, oh, well, that's a good question. So I'm trying to keep my heart rate down, and I've got all those people over there, and they're all just kind of swimming. Well, it hit me when I was doing that swim. And I love the water. I mean, so I'm in there, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Look at all these people, this is great. And I was in the minority. So I realized that, okay, we're all lined up. And the starter's saying, okay, we got like 90 seconds, and you got all these people yelling. I'm like, okay. And to me, it was like, I'm sitting at the dullest toll road. Okay, so you got 8 lanes lined up, and here I am. And I'm in this lane, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to narrow down to get to that swim underneath the Memorial Bridge. So how am I going to do that? A lot of people get really nervous with that. But all of us probably drove in some traffic coming here. Okay? And so when I'm driving on the Beltway, I'm not really nervous. I just try to figure out how I'm going to maneuver through. And so that's what I did. So I stayed in my box, I stayed focused, and I just swam through people. Some people are swimming this way. Some people are swimming that way. I'm trying to swim that way. You're in my lane. And then I realized it's not intentional. Like when somebody is in a car crash, that's not intentional. They're banging into me. I'm also kind of selfish. I keep thinking that everybody is there focused on my race. So I want them to swim accordingly. So if you bump into me, you're kind of messing in my lane here, but it's not intentional. Somebody bumping into you, somebody swimming this way, the current is taking them. That's another aspect of the open water swim. These people going sideways, the current is taking them, and it helps me to stay in my box. It helps me to not be so afraid. I'm just swimming on the Beltway. That's all I'm doing. If you want to watch Finding Nemo and Dory, okay? I love to swim, I love to swim, I love to swim. I love that movie. Okay, so that's what you're going to be on. You got all your equipment, and you're going to be starting, and you're in your box, and you're going to be nice and calm, and you're just going to be swimming on the Beltway. And I know all of you know what I'm talking about. So sometimes you may feel aggressive, like, excuse me, I got to speed up to get around you. That happened in that ocean swim. I'm like, this guy, God, hello, I'm coming through. And then I realized this guy's just trying to get the buoy like me, He's not thinking about me. So I paused because I could see that he was really struggling. I paused, and then I went around him. So I'm not interrupting him because the ocean was taking him this way. So number one, it made me a little bit more compassionate, but I was able to always focus on my buoy. So the next thing that we're going to do is the more I sight, the less I swim. Again, I'm really, I'm kind of a lazy swimmer. I love to swim, and I can, win my age groups and all that. But I don't want to have to swim more than I have to. My lane mates will tell you that. So I like an efficient stroke. But also, the more I look up to see that buoy, the less I'm going to swim. And that is a flat-out truth. You'll hear people say you can sight every 10 strokes. Well, if you're like on the Olympic level, you can do that because you're used to drafting. But since we're in the open water, okay, so we have the current taking us this way, Always before my race, I found out that I always look at the conditions. I ask the race director, I look at the weather map, trying to see what storm is coming this way, anything that might affect the current. I always, always, always do that. Watching the water, which way is the water moving? That means if it's moving this way, it's going to move me that way. So I need to swim that way. Okay, so I always check the water current. So I look up every 2 to 4 strokes, and it's a rhythm. And you can practice this in the pool. You can practice this in the pool. So when I'm sighting, and I'm going to be doing it a little bit with a megaphone, I'm doing this. 1. I'm breathing, and as this arm's coming down, I look up. And then literally you can practice this in the pool. Breathe, look up. Because my mind will say, I'm going straight, hello, I go straight in the pool because I got those lane lines there. This happened in the Bay Bridge. I'm like, I'm so sick of sighting. It's like mile 3 and all the current, and I'm so sick of sighting. I feel good. You're breaking with my zone. And sure enough, I was underneath the bridge. So the more you sight, the less you're going to swim. I want to get from point A to point B in the most efficient manner possible. Because you guys want to get on your bike and start running. So you don't want to spend as much time in the water than you have to, more time in the water than you have to. Sight but one buoy at a time. Okay, and again, I hope I'm not talking simplistically, but sight one buoy and then the next buoy. A lot of times at a race start, people are going, where's the finish? I'm like, well, when you're running, you don't know where the finish line is, so don't worry about it. That's, again, you're in Meme's box, and because you're sighting and you have something to sight, rarely do I ask the distance between the buoys, because I don't want to know. I'm sighting the sighting buoy. A lot of times, for example, at the Nations Try, you'll have a sighting buoy and then you'll have a turning buoy, and they're different colors. Okay, so you'll know that when to turn, I sight one buoy at a time, and that helps me stay focused. If I'm sighting one buoy at a time, I have my point B that I'm looking at. It helps me stay in my stroke, still helps me stay in my box. I can see what's going on in front of me, and I can move and maneuver accordingly. Okay. All right, now the race finish. When you're coming to the race finish, your heart rate's going to go up and you're really excited. I don't know about you, but I get really, really excited. But when I'm finishing a race, I'm done because I'm an open water swimmer. You all have 2 more legs, right? So you have your bike and your run. So what you're not going to want to do is sprint to the finish. You're going to want to save your legs. This is not the photo op. You're going to save your legs. And so just gradually go ahead and go to the finish line. If, for some reason, you're feeling a little wobbly, you can, when you climb out, it's not unusual for swimmers to have some sort of, to feel a little bit wobbly when you're out of the water. Stand up and catch your breath. People will be yelling at you to go ahead and sprint. If you want to walk, you can do that. You can walk to transition. And then walk to your bike and then congratulate yourself. One thing that I would like to talk about, especially with the dark water, how many of you like to go hiking? How many of you like to go hiking? Okay, and so to me, when you go hiking, do you feel like it's really dirty? Do you feel like it's like when you're going along the bike path, it's dirty? No. So the same thing with the open water. When you're swimming in a lake, it's all natural. It really is, it's all natural. When you're swimming in a river, it's all natural. Okay? When you're swimming in the ocean, it's all natural. Okay? So there's nothing there that's going to harm you. When they have races, always when they have races, one thing that I hear is that the dark water means dirty. Okay? All race directors, all good race directors, and people who have open water swims and clinics, they will have water quality testing. So, for example, we do swims down at Gunston Manor, So on our board is somebody who helps out with this. He is in charge of his company is in charge of the the oil spills worldwide. He is a water quality freak. Okay, so he wants to make sure that everything's clear. We have called swims. So if you all feel nervous that the water is dirty, it's not. The nations try. They test the water 10 days out. So it is really, really clean. So other than that, those are just some of the highlights. This will be you. Now my experience is, this is an overview. Any questions you all have, I would love to answer them.
The role of the backup stroke.
Okay, good point. When you're starting a race, very, very good point. When you're swimming in your triathlon, anything goes. You're going to see a lot of people swimming freestyle. A great backup stroke is breaststroke. That's a nice resting stroke. It can keep you focused on your where you are, catch your breath. Side stroke. Somebody here, Pam loves the side stroke. Anything goes as long as there's forward motion. If you feel that you are in distress at your swim, if at any point you're feeling nervous, raise your hand. I can spot that 3 miles away, and sitting in a kayak or a paddleboard. The support group, the support crew there is there to help you. Their goal is not to pull you out. It is really not to pull you out. You can hang on the kayak as long as we're not moving forward. I don't move you forward. I talk to you, allay any fears you might have, let you count your breath. You can swim from kayak to kayak. And I've had people do that at a Luray Tri. We had 0 pullouts last year because we talked to the race crew and we said, okay, I'm going to set you guys up, especially in like a beginner or a sprint or what, you can tell that people are nervous. You can swim from kayak to kayak. And that will help you if you're feeling any sort of distress. But they are there to help you. Okay, so freestyle, as long as you're, I have done backstroke. Oh, 2 minutes. I have done backstroke. But I wouldn't suggest that. I did backstroke under the bridge. But I because you can go crooked. But if you want to do elementary rollover, do elementary backstroke to catch your breath, by all means you can do that. Yes?
I have a question. I get motion sickness.
Okay.
And I have my first face one.
Okay.
We were nervous about getting sick.
That's not uncommon. My daughter has motion sickness. I've had swimmers who have motion sickness. My suggestion is talk to your doctor and see if there's anything he or she may be able to give you. And then if you can, practice it. Practice in the bay. You can go to Sandy Point. There are a lot of places you all can go to practice on your own. I will go to Sandy Point, swim parallel to the shoreline, telling the lifeguard that I'm going in there and that's what I'd like to do. The lifeguard there, I never go into an area that does not have a lifeguard. If it says no trespassing, please don't go there. But you can go to Rehoboth, you can go to Ocean City, and I talk to the lifeguard and we'll ask what's a good half-mile or 1 mile swim, and they'll radio down, so you swim parallel to the shoreline and come back. That might be good practice, just, you know, if he or she is giving you some medicine, that you can take that, make sure somebody's with you, and then try swimming on your own before you actually do the bay swim. Yes?
I have a question. My dog paddle is weak. Should I strengthen my tread before I do the
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that.
My dog paddle, I'm weak at treading water. Should I strengthen that before I do trot?
Dog paddling?
Yeah.
Can you swim okay?
Yeah, I can swim okay.
Okay. Treading water, you can do that a little bit, like the nation start, that's a 2 minute, you're in the water for about 2 minutes. I would definitely practice that, because what you're going to want to do is jump in and then tread water for about 2 minutes, and then you've got to go. So what we did is we had people tread water so that they're not utilizing so much leg muscle, kind of stay relaxed, move forward and swim the 25 yards, and then see what happens. I think that's a good question. Yes?
Do you ever draft on your swim races?
At the more elite level, they do draft that. They do draft. I personally don't do that because I've heard enough stories that people who are drafting went the wrong way. I had a swimmer and the crew went 500 yards out of, and this was at an Ironman. So she was not really tickled. But drafting, the suggestion is, like when you're drafting I don't know if you swim masters, but generally you hear some people say along the hip line, Frank Crippen does not suggest that, except for at his level. Just staying near their feet so you can draft along that way. But sight and make sure the person in front of you is going in the right direction. I mean, I love drafting and swimming. I'm always number 2.
The other one too, and that is the tight lake races where you have the people going to and fro and it's very tight. When you're sighting the buoy, that's special, but when someone's tracking the wrong way, the opposite direction,
Yes.
coming at you in a group, you got to watch that very carefully because people get blinded by the sun.
Right.
When they start coming right at you.
Right. You're driving on the Beltway. Okay, I think we're out of time. I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you all so much. I'll be out there. Bring your questions. Mwah.